So yeah. On that note, I am not here to compete with Tom or Kelly, all right? It's not a competition.
No today.
I know I like to inject humour and stuff, but today I really actually did want to tell you guys an education piece in terms of these are my products, and I wanted to really share with you what my product offerings are so that you know who I am and what I offer. So my 10 minutes is really going to be about educating you on what my products are, okay? So please bear in mind, it's only 10 minutes of being talked at. I made sure it's not 16. Okay. So, who am I? I am a certified career coach. Not ICF registered yet, but I do have a graduate certificate in professional coaching, as well as 10 years experience working in human resource management. And I worked prior to that, prior to doing my HR degree, as a recruitment consultant. So the next step of being a career coach was just an evolution for me, was helping people focus on their career development and figure out what they want to be doing rather than just expecting the employer to always come up with numbers. I also love paddleboarding and watching the sunrise, but you don't get to be doing that very often because I'm not a morning person. I function much better after at least 2 coffees. So these are the programs that I offer, and this is what I'm going to talk you through today. So the first one is the self-discovery program. Next one is the job hunting program, and lastly the 10-step career transition program. So the first one, the self-discovery, really is a short, I used to say a try before you buy, but it's not. It's a good program within itself. It really helps people step back from where their current situation is and look at the bigger picture. The job hunting program is really more of a consulting program to help support people through resume, interview and job offer. And the 10-step career transition program is my premium product offering, which really does a deep dive into having people reflect on what makes them tick, what inspires them, and really help them figure out what, in terms of changing direction completely in their career, what's next. So I'll talk a bit more about each of those. So self-discovery program, as I said, it's a snapshot of your career right now. So we do a 90-minute coaching session, and then I'm available to them for 7 days thereafter. So within the 90-minute coaching session, I use one of my coaching tools, and we do a dive into looking at what is working for them. So what's working for them in the career right now? What do they enjoy? What's really good? What's fun for them? You know, if they're still in their job, there's a reason. There's still something that's keeping them there. Maybe it is only the paycheck. Maybe it is only the friends at work. But there's something that's still keeping them there. Then we look at what's not working for them. Why do they want to make a change? Why do they want to leave? What's causing them a pain point at this point? And then from where they are right now, what are the opportunities available to them to take next steps to move forward? What can they do to help themselves? Sometimes it's as simple as creating the space to ask that question. What can you do to help yourself right now? Other than asking me. Because people do have a network of resources and opportunities available to them, but when they're suffering and pain point, they don't often realise it. So sometimes that question just needs to be asked. And again, so that leads to who can help. Everybody has a network of people that they know, friends, family. There are always people that can help if only you ask. So my job is to have people come up with an action plan of the next 24 hours, next 7 days, next calendar month, of what they can do to help themselves and who's going to give them that support. So that's the self-discovery program. Any questions on that? Next one, job hunting program. As I said, this is more of a consultative role, and this really draws on my experience working in HR and recruitment as well. So this is about helping people figure out what to include in a resume and cover letter and what not to include. People I work with in this program, maybe they've been working somewhere for 10 years or 15 years, and it's been a long time since they've looked at their resume. And in terms of applying for jobs, they just don't know what to put in. They're just not used to the process, and they really don't want to do it on their own. They'd rather have someone help them. So that's what I offer, that help to let them know what to include, what not to. I help them prepare for interviews as well. So it's making sure that when you show up for an interview, you already know the stories you want to tell before you get in there, before they start asking you questions. So when you're in the interview, it doesn't matter what questions get asked. You know the best examples you're going to start talking about to demonstrate your skills, your talents, and what you want to be doing. And so it's really making sure people are really prepared before they go to the interview for all of that. And the side effect of that is confidence boosting. It helps reduce nervousness, it helps reduce stuttering and rambling. People feel more confident in the interview as well, which is really good. And the last part of this program is obviously offer of employment. So while I'm not an employment lawyer, I do have an employment lawyer that I have as a contact, which I'm always happy to refer people to if there are details that need an employment lawyer. But what I can do is highlight points within an offer of employment that are negotiable. So what's not negotiable? What is negotiable? What can you look at and discuss with your potential employer before you sign on the dotted line? That's what we get clear about. And then I finish off with just a check-in after they start their new job. They've been there at least a week. We just do a 30-minute Zoom call to say, hey, how's it going? Are you enjoying it? Have you got all the resources you need? Do you know if you need to ask for help? And just surprisingly, that's what people love, is that check-in the week after they've started. And my last program, 10-Step Career Transition Program, as I said, this is my premium product offering. This is where I have the most fun, because this really uses all of my coaching skills and tools. It is very comprehensive. As I said, there are 10 steps to it. It's too much to get into 4 points here, so I really just wanted to do a dive into one of them, explain that to you. So it is, the one I'm explaining today is about exploring personal values in your career. It's one of the most valuable tools we look at. And what it is, it's a self-reflection where I help people explore what are your personal values. So to put that in context, when I was a recruiter, we used to always say to people, if you're going to go for a job, do your research about the company. Find out what their mission statement is, what their vision is, what their culture is like, and what their company values are. As a career coach, I say to people, find out what your own personal values are. If you know what your own personal values are, and you know how you want those values to show up for you in a work environment, then you can match that to the organisation and go, okay, do we share the same values, or are we in conflict here? So, to give you an example, okay, we'll come to that in a minute, but to give you an example, if one of your strong personal values is honesty, you might be willing to be honest with your colleagues and honest with people. Even in the face of conflict, you'd be willing to cause conflict just for the sake of being honest and open and transparent, right? If you're working very closely with someone who does not value honesty and would quite happily lie to your face just for the sake of avoiding conflict, that would influence, that clash of values would influence how you see that person, how you interact with that person, whether you like them or not. So it's really important to understand what your personal values are, how you want them to show up for you in a work environment. So it comes down to how do you want to be seen at work? How do you want to interact with others? So what's important to you? What values do you want to see expressed from your colleagues? How do you want to be treated? And when you interact with them, what are you willing to offer other people? And what are you willing to receive from other people? So we spend time getting really, really clear about what all of these things are so that people can go into an environment and be very self-aware of, this is what I want. For me to thrive, for me to be happy in doing this job that I want to do, these are the things. If you can tick all these boxes, these are things that will make me happy. And so they know when they go into an organisation, if they can the organisation can demonstrate their values, their vision and their culture, and you can say, yes, that's a match to who I am, I know I'm going to be happy here. And I always say to my clients, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you do in your job. If the values are not in alignment, you won't be happy there. If the values are in alignment, you'll be surprised at what you'd be willing and not willing to do. And it just depends what each person values. So, yeah, I think I've explained this fairly well. So explore what are your personal values and why they're meaningful to you, how do they help you in your career, and what's missing, how to use these. So yeah, the last point I haven't addressed. So a lot of people come to me with their pain points because their personal values are not being met in their current environment. And when you're stuck in that situation, it can often be hard to articulate exactly what that is. So that's why we do this deep dive into what are your values, and then we can be really clear about what they are, and then we can articulate, okay, this is what's not being met, this is how I want it to show up, this is what's not happening. Once people know that, they go, okay, actually I don't need to leave my current job. I can start looking at how I can introduce this value into this role. They can talk to their manager, they can talk to their colleagues and say, actually, this is what I want to happen. If that won't work, if the company says no, then we can look at, okay, let's change careers, let's look at changing jobs. But my first option is always, can you change what you need changed in your current role before you start looking to leave? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Haven't glazed over just yet. Okay. That really is a deep dive into my tool about personal values. So yeah, any questions about that around personal values?
Just a comment.
Wow.
When you're in a workplace that totally pressures values, it can make you really unhappy and also unwell. So it becomes a really toxic thing. So sometimes you don't know what your values are until you know what your values are not as well.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes.
I commend you on doing that because
It's creating that space
Yeah.
to help to self-reflect and become aware. Yeah.
I think the other thing is that a lot of companies will tell you what they perceive their values are. And then and my son's girlfriend just worked for a company for 10 months, and the director was the worst at not
Living those
owning
values.
the values, and the HR company that they had was involved every week for different things that he was doing. Which is tough when he owns the business because you can't fire him or put him under it. But you know, and then you get in there and the staff don't believe in the company values either. So then what happens?
That's a really challenging situation to be in. And that's drilling down to the micro level of this. So organisational culture is very subjective to the team you work in. Culture can be different in one department to another department. You have your overall company values, but what you want to find out is the people, who's the culture and company of people you're going to be working with on a day-to-day basis. And that's the level we drill down to. Yeah.
Someone once told me that the underlying or fundamental fault with people that procrastinate and won't make decisions is that something is conflicting with their underlying core values. Do you come across that quite a bit? So it is actually true that when somebody can't make a decision on something, there is a conflict to their actual core.
Why they feel stuck.
Deep down. They just won't, and they don't understand why, but they just won't make or can't make the decision because of that conflict.
And so my job is
to add on that?
My job is to help bring that to the surface so that they know why. They know what they want, they know why they want it. It's one of the reasons people get stuck is because they're stuck, they're not happy, but they don't know why. And so it's creating that self-reflection, that self-awareness.
Core and values and something's on.
And some clients I'm faced with, they're not willing to do that self-reflection. I always say to my clients, you have to be willing to do the self-reflection and look in the mirror and say, what are my values? Why am I feeling vulnerable? Why am I feeling like this?
And so one other thing for an insurance advisor. Because a lot of my new clients, they procrastinate about making a decision about insurance. What hint or tip can you give me, Angela? Where do I deep dive in there?
Angela, as people get older and they're employed, because I'm thinking of two people that I know that are in their 50s, they moan about their jobs constantly, and I think, try owning a business, you think you've got problems. They're getting really well paid, but they don't like their jobs, they don't like the people, and I just say to them, make a change, leave, and they go,
Security.
and it must either be a financial thing,
or resent.
because that's the first thing that people worry about, isn't it? If I leave here, am I going to be financially secure over there? Well, they're worried about the jump. But do you find that as people get older, they get more stuck, or is it just a general thing?
Yes, as they get older, they get more stuck. As we get older, I think we are willing to put up with more pain points before we make a change, because there's as we get older, there's more risk. When you're young in your 20s, if you don't have responsibilities and you don't have mortgage to pay, it doesn't matter. The world's your oyster, you can try anything and you can change. But when you're in your 40s, 50s, you've been working, it's like, I can't just change careers and start something new and start from the bottom. There's that fear. So people feel more stuck. Yeah.
So how long does it take from somebody coming to you, presumably quite often at the bottom of the cliff, to getting them to make a change? How long is that? I guess it changes from person to person.
Yeah, so my lead time is quite long with clients. I can meet with someone, have them sign up straight away. That is extremely rare. It generally takes about 3 months for them to finally go, actually, I'm ready to do the work and make a change. The longest I've had so far, and she's still with me, has been, she still wants to work with me looking at next year. So 13 months now.
Okay.
And she just says, just please keep in touch with me. I've just got things going on, but I really do want to work with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So that is my presentation. And I would say, if you know someone who is stuck and not having a career, please pass them my details. I do offer the free initial consultation where I discuss their situation and how I can help.
Awesome. Well done.